Good afternoon, everyone. I think we are good to start. There is some people still joining, but that's okay. My name is Chloe Murray. For those of you who haven't been on any of our webinars before, I'm part of the marketing team here at Black Knight. So this webinar is a series of webinars we're doing Go Global with me. They are focusing on brand marketing, and today we're focusing on SEO, search engine optimization. So this is going to be kind of a split colleague, well, he's not a colleague, a partner, I guess. Alistair is joining us from Cologne in Germany today. He is going to give us a little overview of SEO, a little bit of background, some information on it, and then he's going to do a live demo on how this DIY tool can help you guys reach the top pages of Google, I guess. So the webinar will be roughly 45 minutes long. The presentation probably 25-30 minutes, and then we'll have time for questions and answers at the end. So if anybody does have any questions they want to ask, just pop them into the Q&A there, or there's a chat screen, whichever you prefer. So I'll hand you over to Alistair now. He's going to take it from here.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks very much for the intro there, Chloe. Yes, and thanks to all the people who have joined already and all the people who I'm sure will be joining in the next few minutes. I'll just switch off my camera. Just wanted to keep it on at the start so you could all see me. So yes, what we have here is, as Chloe mentioned, SEO as the topic today. And I'm here joining you from rankingCoach. And our main topic is going to be looking at your website and your brand as a whole, but your website in particular, and whether that's working for you, looking at it from a search engine optimization point of view. So the main aim is going to be seeing what the basics of SEO are and how it will help you from the point of view of a small and medium-sized business. So that brings me straight on to us at rankingCoach. This is our main aim, to try and make small and medium-sized businesses successful online, since we realize this is a huge proportion of businesses which are out there. And often as a small business, maybe you don't have all the time or the knowledge or a huge marketing team in-house to be able to take on all of the different aspects of SEO and your online marketing, or maybe you don't have such a big budget to go and hire a large marketing agency. So we are here to try and coach you. It's in the name. We're a software provider, and this is where we work with Black Knight on this. We have a solution with Black Knight, which is a DIY SEO tool, which allows you to optimize your website with a series of customized tasks, especially for you. So that was just a short intro on rankingCoach. So now we'll look at kind of how to understand SEO as a small and medium-sized business, before in the second half, as Chloe mentioned, going through kind of a live example and a demo. So to begin on the first question, which is on the screen, so is your website working for you? So maybe it was a case where you have built your own website, or maybe once upon a time, 6 months, 2 years, 10, 15 years ago, we see a whole host of different small businesses out there who have differing amounts of experience on this topic and differing starting points. But obviously, whenever a website gets built, it can be a very time-consuming thing for yourself, or maybe it was a very costly thing for you to outsource. So we want to try and make sure that it is working for you. You can have the most amazing websites in the world, but if no one at the end of the day is on your website and no new customers are finding that website, then this isn't going to bring you all the online success which maybe you imagined. It's like if you imagine walking down a high street and you have the most amazing store. Once you get in there, it's full of the best articles to sell, the best customer service. But if you don't have anything on the shop front, if you have nothing to actually guide the customers into your store, then at the end of the day, you're not going to get any new customers in there. And it's unfortunately going to be more of a waste of what's in there. And that can be a way of seeing what it is to have a website without actually working on SEO and continually working on that topic. So through SEO and making maybe there's some small fixes, any updates to your site, and also making regular changes, making sure there's fresh content over time. This is how we're going to make Google recognize us and therefore make sure we stand out and new customers are finding us. Because of course it makes sense. If I had my website 5 years ago, or my website was built a couple of years ago, and I haven't made any changes to it since, then a potential user of that site may see that. They may see the last image was uploaded 3 years ago, and they may wonder whether my business is still running and whether it even makes sense to visit this website. And that's exactly how Google see it. So any small regular updates lets the customer and also lets Google know that you're still relevant, and therefore allows you to get higher on the rankings and be seen. So search engine optimization, what is it, these 3 letters put together? So search engines is where we're taking this from, because of course with the internet these days it can be extremely complex. There's many different social media sites, there's many different sites out there which you may think are useful for your business to be on. But at the end of the day, most searchers which are looking for a product or a service to purchase, most of these searches still get made on Google. When someone has to buy something online, it's unlikely, as of now still, that you're going to go onto YouTube or onto Facebook to actually make a purchase. What you're more likely to do is to go into Google first and then put your search in there to make the purchase of a good or a service, which means you as a business need to make sure you're seen on Google so that the customer is potentially directed to your website. And what we're talking about here are organic results. And when I mention organic results, this is non-paid ads, which account for 70% of clicks on Google. And if we think about that from a user of Google ourselves, often, well, me anyway, I tend to scroll past the ads which appear at the top of the search result because I know that somebody has just paid for the ad to be there. And therefore, I trust Google's algorithm to actually see what they think is the highest ranked site for the search term which I put in. And if we think about our own user experience there, that shows how important it is then for me as a business to take SEO seriously and to try and do everything which I can to make sure I have been optimized so that I'm appearing at the top of these organic results. So optimization in itself is kind of the process of being successful and constantly making changes and fresh improvement and fresh content to improve your website and make it more appealing to customers. Also, if you Google the definition of optimization, it often comes down to improving something to be the most effective in your area. And this improving isn't just a one-time thing. It's definitely something which you need to do long-term and continuously. And with Google, of course, there's lots you can do. Through the image on the screen, you can see that maybe before you optimize something, it can just be a bit plain with just some basic information about your website on the search results page. But if you're completely optimizing it, then you can have pictures in there, links directly to where you can be found on Google Maps and many more things. That's just an initial image to maybe show that there's a lot more which can be done for many businesses out there. So now if we're looking to see realistically for a small business how we can possibly compete with some of the major chains and businesses which might be there in your area. There's one place which we have mainly, which I find is good to start, which is on local SEO. Now, local SEO is slightly different from SEO as a general topic. This has only come in the last 10 years or so. The reason being, from the screen we can see on a mobile device, in 2019, for example, 63% of searches were done on mobile devices. And then this made Google adapt their algorithm slightly so that when you're doing a search on a mobile device, you will get a slightly different set of results than if you do a search on a desktop. The reason being, when we're all out and about, often when I'm doing a search on a mobile device, I'm looking for something near me. When I'm looking for something and therefore directly to purchase. So this is why if we start also optimizing for local results, so these are things like optimizing for the term near me or putting the place name of our business, so a town or city, this can also help us be found when somebody's searching on mobile devices. And this is the starting point, because not every big company will perhaps be trying to optimize directly for the local town or city which you are located in. But of course, the big brands do still appear. So we can see on this screenshot we have a small coffee place which has managed to get itself up to #1, but we still have Starbucks, for example, down there in third. And this is because they've built up the trust simply with Google and with the customer base, which has allowed them over a number of years that people and Google know who Starbucks are, and they know that they can rank them fairly highly if there's not much competition for a specific keyword term, because they know it's a relevant and a company which customers do tend to like. Which makes sense. If I were to start in this example a coffee shop today, here in San Francisco, as the example says, then, and I tell all of you guys, yeah, this is the best coffee in the world. Yeah, do you know whether you should believe that or not? There's no kind of interactions with my website, which I quickly put up. There's no reviews on that. So this is why SEO is also a long-term process. So I said before, it's about making kind of small regular changes, but it's also a long-term process that it's going to take some time to get that trust to allow us to move up the results as more people start interacting with us, as we make changes to do what Google wants us to do in order to optimize for their algorithm. And so talking about a Google algorithm, there's actually over 200 ranking factors which Google have said they take into account. They've never provided a full list of, okay, these are all the things which you need to tick off as a checklist, because it wouldn't make so much sense to do that, because then everyone could do the same and Google would be back at sort of step 1, where everyone's on the same level. So, but they have given various indications about what are the most important of these factors. And of course, you can spend days and days searching for articles and looking through to find out what the most important factors are. Luckily for you guys, this is what we at rankingCoach and lots of other people out there who specialize in online marketing do. But to make this the most understandable, the way in which I like to see these ranking factors is to split them into 2 main separate categories. And these are then the independent and the dependent variables. So therefore, the things which are under our control ourselves as the builder of the website or as the business owner. And then, of course, there are some other factors which we can't directly control, but Google still takes them as important. So, of course, for us and for you as a small business owner or someone with a website, it's most important that we try and focus on the ones we can control and work through them. And as we work through them, you'll find if we're working on the basics and building up the whole structure, then the rest will also fall into place. And we can see this. So for example, something like the bounce rate, which is the percentage of visitors to your website who then leave without clicking further or exploring another page on your site. So of course, it's not good to have a high bounce rate, and you want this to be as low as possible. That's something which we can't really directly control ourselves. That's down to the end customer who's clicking on our website. But what we can control is how our website is structured, making it look attractive, making sure it has clear headers, and the content on our website is well laid out. And also then having, for example, maybe you want to have some internal links, which then lead to more detailed pages elsewhere. So as I said, with all these factors, 200 plus, there's lots of things which we can do, but it's best to start in small steps and to split this into small chunks so that it is possible for us to do it all, but not be completely overwhelmed. It's very easy to get started step by step, which is what we're going to show now with an example. So if I just pop out of this presentation, and I can head here into, as Chloe mentioned before, the live demo of the Black Knight solution, which we have partnered with rankingCoach, of course. So we'll go through an example. This is just a pizza place based out of Dublin, just an example which I found, which I think is a good one to show, as it seems to be one which does have some improvements, also a local business, which is exactly what we want to do. So as I mentioned at the start, what we have here is a DIY software, which is going to aim to provide a completely customized set of tasks. So taking into account all those factors, which I said before, Google takes into account of, broken into small steps about things which we can change in small chunks. So maybe there's a 10-minute task today and a 5-minute task next week, but we'll see that later. Firstly, what we have to do is still go through these kind of first 5 main steps as an onboarding, which is telling us some information about the business so that the software itself can provide the best suggestions and make sure this is as personalized as possible for you. So I'll just carry on clicking through. It's all very self-explanatory and can be done very quickly. I have done this before, which is why it's already pre-filled out. But you can see all we're doing so far is entering kind of the information about our business. This is important for getting the address, the name of our business, and the telephone number in there so that it's then consistent across everywhere online. So our overall brand image can be as good as possible. Then we can enter things like our business sector. So as I said before, this is a pizza restaurant, also does some delivery. So I added that as another sector. And with all this information, the software is already finding out bits about the business so that later on it's completely customized. The next step is one of the more important ones since we're talking about local SEO and we were talking about, okay, where can we possibly start to find this success online with SEO? And answering this question, where do your customers come from, is certainly a useful one and an important one so that we know that the information we're getting is relevant. So here we have this pizza place. It's locally operating, I put. This is the area which it's based. I could have just put Dublin as a city here. And we can see this. We now have a radius of 20 kilometers around Dublin, showing I can always increase this to get in a bit more of Ireland, or I can make this even more narrow. But this is where I think possibly customers might come and visit my pizza place. It's important because, as we were talking about before, if I'm a tourist here in Dublin and I'm going to be making searches, then I'm going to be in this area. But if I'm a tourist somewhere else, I might make the same search for pizza near me, but that's less important for the Village Pizza Dublin business to know that I've made that search. So what the software is going to show you here is only the search volume, so how many people are making searches for the different keywords we've selected in this area and not elsewhere, because that's the most relevant information. And it will also show me my ranking, so how high up on the Google pages I am within this area. So of course, Google has a slightly different algorithm based on where we are in the world, but it's important for my business here to know where I'm ranked within this area. And as we go on now, on the first couple of steps, we entered the business name, the address, and the telephone number. And of course, Google is the most important search engine. It's still the market leader for that. But you do get others out there, and also other business directories, which people may also be searching in to try and find your business. And Google realizes that as well. So this step is twofold. We're going to check to make sure here whether your business is listed in all of the relevant local directories here for Ireland. So we can see it's only one. It's only on Google with Google My Business where this has a listing so far. So there's lots of potential entering our business in Yelp and in TripAdvisor. And we can see there's a cross to say this isn't listed in there so far. So of course we might get direct customers, and when we're thinking about what steps could we do first, then improving and getting started entering our business in these different directories can be a great way to get customers directly because people are searching in there. But also Google realizes, okay, this is a company, this is a proper company, they're putting their information in the right places, they know what they're doing. That's going to help build up this trust which Google has, which then would allow us to move up any rankings. The next step is going to be what your website is built on, so which CMS. We can see here this one's built with WordPress, but we have a whole list of all the major CMSs which websites are generally built on. And this is important because we're still at this stage of giving the software information about the business. And this step allows us to create then a video set. So we're going to show with detailed video tutorials how to do each of the tasks. And by selecting WordPress, we're going to get videos showing us exactly where we need to go within WordPress to actually make any changes. The next step is regarding keywords for your business, which is quite a large topic because, of course, this is these are the specific terms which we want to get ranked for. So often it's you as the business owner who knows best what your dream customer may look like. What terms do you want them to be searching for in order to find your business at the top? So I've just put in a few generic ones here on this step based on what the website looked like and some of the main things which they offer, which was mainly pizzas, deliveries, and also a couple putting in their local area. So I entered these ones at the top, which now appeared as gray bubbles. And now with this solution, we have a whole number of keyword suggestions, which could also be interesting for us, as these could be keywords which maybe I haven't thought about before, or maybe more specified keywords which are perhaps easier for me to rank for. And we'll see them just here below. So of course, each of these steps, the software is getting the information about your business to be able to provide you with good suggestions here and then tasks later. So you can see there's a whole range of different keywords which are being suggested to us. We can always come back to this stage and select more later on, but I can always just click on a specific keyword and it comes up to my selected ones at the top. So this is to help us build up the amount of potential places which our customers may be searching. So they may be searching for a wide variety of keywords. So I can come here, select a few, and then on the next page I can see, okay, how relevant were those keywords which I selected? So here we have them in a list, and I can order them in terms of my priority. So I might decide here to put up Pizza Dublin because this has the name of the city as more important for me than just the keyword term pizza. And we can see next to all of these keywords with the little colored dot how easy or difficult this keyword is to rank for, so the achievability of this. And this is excellent for me to be able to see, okay, what is realistic for me to try and rank for first? What should I focus on? So a red keyword is going to be more difficult. That makes sense. If we look at the keyword term such as pizza, that's obviously going to be very difficult for a small local pizza restaurant to be able to rank for. Whereas you can see here, maybe the term company isn't used quite as much when someone's searching for pizza places. Therefore, this is slightly easier for me to rank for. Maybe the competition seems a bit weaker than me if I decide to search and focus on this keyword. On the right-hand side, we can then see the monthly search volume. So pizza company, although as I correctly guessed, the people are searching for that less than a delivery near me or takeout food or just pizza near me. But there are still 110 people making that search within that 20-kilometer radius around Dublin. So perhaps this is a good one for me to focus on because it's slightly easier for me than to initially start to try and rank for Pizza Dublin, even if that's a long-term goal. This allows me to realize, okay, in the short run, it's going to be very difficult for me to rank for some of these red keywords. Perhaps I could focus on a green one to begin with, even if the search volume is lower. So what you're looking for here is to try and get a green, easy keyword with a large search volume and then focus on them. So again, taking all this information up to now about the business, we will now get a whole list of competitors which are related to my business. And this is great for me to be able to keep track of what my competitors are doing. It's always good for me and my sector to know what competitors are doing, to be able to see what keywords they're ranking for and how they're ranking for the keywords I want to rank for and various other things. So we had this whole list of potential competitors which I could have selected, but since I've gone through this process already, I just selected these three which seem to be other local pizza places which seem relevant. So of course, as I said, keeping an eye on competitors can be good. There'll also be different tasks based on what your competitors have. So if a competitor has a particular backlink at one website, then this will be suggested to me as a task to get this similar backlink. So now we've arrived at the overall dashboard of the solution here for Black Knight Ranking Coach. And this is what we're going to get whenever we log in. Now, the first thing which will pop up, it hasn't done on mine because I've been through this process before, and as an admin user, I don't need to see this every single time. But we're going to get something called Jumpstart, which allows us to see, okay, what are the first things to do? We want to try and help you the whole way, so also to order all of these tasks which you might have to do. So we're showing you initially, okay, what are the first things which will make the biggest impact? So we can see our optimization so far isn't so good. There's still lots to be done, but we can now see, okay, the three main things which we had to focus on. Here we have local SEO. This can improve my optimization by around 27%, or maybe we can look at social media first, or maybe we can look at kind of long-term search engine optimization as these are the first things to do. So this allows me, first of all, to have a look and see what needs to be done first. And I can even click on one of these and it'll take me directly there. But I just wanted to show that to see how easy it is to get started with exactly what I need to do. And the other thing which we'll notice as we arrive on this dashboard is if we scroll down, we've got this kind of Facebook-like stream, which really is an amazing feature which allows us to keep an eye rather than just scrolling through Facebook or other social media. Here what we have is we have a similar stream, but it's taking all the information about the competitors which we put in and also about my own brand. I can filter this feed at the top so I can see, okay, these are the three competitors I have. Do I want to see information about all of them? Do I just want to see competitor notifications or do I want to see my own? And then I can choose what kind of notifications I might be getting. If that's reviews online, if that's competitors starting ads or different mentions of the business online. we'll see them. We can see them coming in up to date. So we can see there's quite a lot from yesterday here, for example. So this competitor of mine changed their information on Yelp. I can see more to see exactly what they did. So this is great for being able to keep an eye on what competitors are doing, how things are changing, if their ranking is increasing, decreasing. So this really is a feature which, even if I don't have the time to come into the tasks area, which will now be reassigned because I made a few changes during that onboarding procedure. So even if I don't have time to come in here and actually work through any of the tasks for this week, I can at least log in and be able to see immediately, okay, something's changed regarding a competitor. Is this something I need to really keep an eye on? Or is this less important and we'll wait and work on my own tasks over time? So whilst these tasks are loading, I still have a couple of minutes left. We can have a look through, so through that feed, through that always up-to-date live feed, we did see a number of different bits of information about rankings. But if we come into the report section, this is going to be the main area where I can actually keep an eye on all of my keyword rankings in more detail. So I can see all the keywords I put in here. I can see how the search volume changes over time. So this is very useful when I'm looking to analyze which are specific keywords which I should be focusing on. If we scroll down even further, we can even see all of our keywords which I selected up against the competitors I selected. So this is good if I see that a couple of the competitors are ranking very well for some of my keywords. Perhaps I should go on their site and see and try and figure out why they're doing well. Perhaps they've got more video content, perhaps they have more pictures, and that's something which then I can keep an eye on to make changes similarly. So there's various insights we can make from just the reporting aspect of things. Also something like Google My Business, which I mentioned in the first few slides, as something important for me to focus on to begin with, because this allows me to be seen on Google Maps. That's something which I can click on here and connect directly. So we saw this place did have a Google My Business account. If I start the setup to connect them with the Black Knight Ranking Coach product, what I can then do is manage Google My Business directly here from within this dashboard, rather than having to open lots of different tabs and be working on things differently. I can actually work on it all from the same place, which is, yeah, of course, very useful for keeping things consistent. So now the tasks loaded again for me, and we can see here they're split into little chunks. So we can see 63 tasks for the moment. Once we connect Google My Business, if we connect Facebook, if we do things like that, more tasks will appear. But for now, we have these 63 to start working on, split into different areas. So maybe if we just click on search engines, we can see the software is recognized. Okay, about 8% of the tasks have been done already because this isn't a completely new website. But we can scroll down and see the whole list of tasks which there's going to be to do in the future. But always we're trying to suggest the key ones for this week and the ones to do first. They will appear at the top. And each task we can open up. Here we can see this is integrating these keywords into the meta title of my homepage, which means these 3 keywords should be included in the short little description about our website, which appears actually on the search results page of Google. And each task will look the same. So I can just show one rather than scrolling through all of them. It's going to give us a little bit of information here about why we're doing this task and what is this task. If there's any more information, we can lead you to other resources here if you want to read more. We're then going to have a bit of information on the left-hand side about how to do this task in kind of word form. And on the right-hand side, as we mentioned before, this is really the key aspect. We're going to be able to see in a video tutorial where I actually have to go within WordPress. So clicking on the different areas to actually make that change. So it's really going to take me through and coach me through the whole process of search engine optimization, to take me through each task and show me, okay, this is how I actually make the change, which is going to help me with my search engine optimization. I can mark this task as finished, for example, but as you saw, I didn't actually do the task. So we're going to realize here that this hasn't been done correctly, and it's going to appear as a big red cross. So maybe I need to recognize these, make some changes, and then check again. But because I'm not going to do that, I can now resume the task, and it appears back again in my list. So again, as we mentioned, the main details of search engine optimization are that there are lots of factors which you have to take into account. Not all of these can we control ourselves, but there are a number of ones which we can. And as we mentioned, that it's important that SEO is a long-term process. So we need to build up that trust with Google over a long amount of time. Therefore, we should also split up the work which we're doing so that we're making small regular changes to our website, which is actually kind of the preferred way of doing so from Google's point of view. So they see that you're still a relevant business, you're still making changes and still improving things. So from my side, that was the main points which I had. And of course, this solution here with the Black Knight Ranking Coach solution, you can head over on Black Knight to test out for free and then carry on using when you're finding this is useful, even if it's just at the start, you don't have so much time right now, just to see what's happening, just to be constantly getting updates about what your competitors are doing, and then making small changes with the tasks over time. So yes, thank you very much all who have listened so far. And if there are any questions, I think a few questions were popping up during the session. I would be very happy to answer any of them, or I'll hand over back to Chloe, who can either read through the questions or give a bit of an outro as well.
Absolutely, thanks, Alistair. That was really, really helpful. I think even I was saying to you earlier, just for people to actually see how these things works, it's so helpful. And those little video tutorials that you guys have are brilliant as well, just for people that are using WordPress. It's a bit of a minefield sometimes, so it's really hard to know where to start with SEO, and I think this is a good way to see. I'll just pop over to the questions here. We have a couple for you.
Yeah.
So what is the absolute most important ranking factor, would you say?
I would say that it's incredibly difficult to answer that question because there are so many different factors, and it will completely depend on what industry you're in. So the way I see it is we have to think about what if I'm a small business owner, what is my target user? What is my ideal user? So if I am a baker, maybe then the customers would potentially like seeing how I actually make my bread, let's say, and to make sure I'm doing it in an organic way. So maybe therefore some sort of video content is the most important thing here. So generally it's content, I would say, is the most important factor. But content is, of course, in lots of different ways useful. So thinking about it always from the customer's point of view is the best way to go.
I guess even from that point of view, it's just kind of keeping everything fresh. So as you said during your presentation, just Google needs to know that you're still open and you're still a business. And if you're not updating your website or your blog or whatever it may be, people don't know that you're there, and Google doesn't know that you're there. So I think fresh content, fresh updates is really important.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe you don't have always the time to go through and write a whole new blog post this week, which is why if you're using something like the Black Knight Ranking Coach, you can come through and maybe complete just one of the small tasks. That's something which took 10-15 minutes, but at least it is still a change to your website and makes Google know that you're still there, as you said.
Yeah. I'll just move on to the next question here because I'm conscious of time. Tom just wants to know, if I rebuild my website, do I lose out on the SEO for a period of time?
So this can be the case, which is also why we say that you may have a number of tasks which you have to do, and why it's not great to try and do it all at once, because that can of course mean that your whole website looks different. Everything has changed, and a customer or Google looking at it again might think, okay, something's up here. So we have seen it that it can cause perhaps a reduction in your ranking to start with. However, because you've built up the brand, because you've built up all the interactions, customers with that business over time, it will then of course be easier for you to then work your way back up for the keywords after a rebuild, let's say.
Yeah, I think the important thing is, if you are, like, we even at Black Knight, we redid our website. I think maybe it's heading on for 2 years now, and obviously that was one of our concerns as well. So you just kind of have to put a little bit extra effort in TLC just so you don't lose out on your SEO. Just keep on top of it. And tools obviously like this is really helpful. A way of seeing what's broken, or is there any links that need to be fixed, or all those kind of things. That will help with the SEO.
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question, Tom. And then we've got another question here from Jonathan. What search engines other than Google are worth paying attention to?
I mean, it can be worth paying attention to anything out there. Google, of course, is the market leader, and I think probably will still be for an amount of years. But think about, again, from your perfect customer's point of view. Maybe it's the case where they are perhaps not so used to search engines, and maybe they just know Yellow Pages from when they used to have a Yellow Pages in the house, and now they've heard Yellow Pages has gone online. So perhaps the first search they make is Yellow Pages. So therefore, making sure you have a listing in the online Yellow Pages is the most important kind of search engine to be in. So it's all about thinking about it from the customer's point of view.
Yeah.
But Google and then Bing as number 2 for purely search engines for goods and services seem to be the top.
Yeah, I guess it depends on where you are in the world as well. Depending on the browser preference. Yes. Yeah. Okay, I think that's pretty much all we have, unless I know my colleague Con is on here as well. I'm not sure if you have any questions, Con.
I have just one, Chloe, if you don't mind. Yeah. And it's first of all, thanks for the presentation, Alistair. It's absolutely fantastic, and I'm a particular fan of this tool. What I wanted to ask you very quickly was if you could maybe dwell a little bit or give a little bit of advice on the choice of keywords, because those bubbles that you displayed where you're showing the different kinds of keywords and different kinds of searches you should rank, that you can possibly rank for. It's obvious that there's a trade-off between more popular and more useful searches, which are more difficult to rank for. And I guess the question I'm asking is, for a small business that's trying to rank, that's trying to do well, is it the case that you should try to focus on those high-value keywords, those high-value keyword combinations, even though you may not initially be scoring well for them at the start? If that's what you're aiming for and that's the market you're aiming for, should you focus on those and try and then follow the steps in rankingCoach to improve your ranking for those keywords?
Yeah, it's a good question. Thanks. I think the important thing is always to keep at least an eye on these keywords. So realistically, it could take me a lot of months and even years, and maybe if I'm an exceptionally small business and it's a very competitive market, or like we just saw in that example, the keyword term for pizza, just pizza, realistically, a small business or a small restaurant is never going to get to the first page for pizza, because the intention of somebody searching for that keyword is likely to be more informational. They want to know maybe what a pizza is. So we have to think about the intention of each keyword. I mean, we can go into this topic for hours and hours, I'm sure, but think about, okay, what you need to keep an eye on, how you're ranking for these top keywords, which is the ultimate goal. I always find it best, especially to think about, to get some success in the short run as well, to try and pick 1 or 2 of the green, the easier keywords to try and rank for, which still have a search volume. Because if I start ranking for those, then Google sees, okay, they're getting good reactions when they're on the first page for this keyword. So that could also help you in the long run also with ranking for the more difficult keywords. So keeping an eye on those top keywords, because of course you can keep an eye on how your competitors are doing for those keywords too. but trying to focus, especially short, medium term, on some ones which are a bit easier would be a recommendation.
Great, thanks.
Thanks, Alistair. I think, as you said there a few minutes ago, this is a topic that you literally talk about for hours. And I know you have done in the past, you were saying earlier, you've done workshops and stuff like that. So it's hard to kind of cram all this into a 45-minute webinar, but we really do appreciate you coming on today. It was really helpful. It's a good introduction for people, especially, you know, it's a scary thing when you haven't done it before, and everyone always talks about, oh, you need to work on your SEO, but not necessarily how or how to start even. So I think this is a great tool, and we should really all use it to our advantage. And as you said earlier, if anybody does want to give it a try, if you pop onto our website, everyone will get an email anyway, but if you want to pop onto our website, it's under websites and online marketing, and there is a 30-day free trial there for anybody if you do want to give it a go. And there's actually just a search box there as well. You can pop in your website name and it will give you a quick analysis and kind of give you a score as to how you're doing. So if anybody is interested in that, or if you want to just even call us or send in a live chat or whatever, our team can help you get set up with it as well. Just to thank everybody today for coming along. We have another webinar next week, the 21st of October at the same time, 2:30 will start, which will be focusing on managing shipping and delivery and collection orders, which obviously at the moment is huge for a lot of businesses. There's a lot of people here that are just coming online for the first time. So this might, we're trying to help people tackle that. And then the following week will be the last webinar, which will be a one-on-one on social media for SMEs. So we'll be just looking at Facebook and Instagram and those kind of social media tools and how they can help your business. I think that's it. Alistair, just thanks again so much for taking the time today. We really appreciate it. We're big fans of rankingCoach and Black Knight, so thank you.
Yeah, no worries at all. I hope it was some key points noted down as useful tips for SEO, and then of course you want to dig deeper, that possibility is there as well.
Yeah, and Catherine, yeah, I just see your comment there as well. We will be sharing the recording. We send out an email, hopefully we'll have it edited and uploaded tomorrow, so we'll try and get that out to all the attendees tomorrow. It's also on Facebook, our Facebook page. Actually, you can look at that right away. It's live on Facebook too, if you want to look at it sooner than that. So anybody, if you want more information on the webinars, goglobal.me or goglobalwith.me is where you will find the information. And as always, if anybody needs to contact us, you can do so on live chat or website, or we are all actually working from home, but we're on the phones. So thanks everybody. Have a great day.